A lot of stuff going on today. A lot of stuff. By the way, today's or this morning's, whatever you want to call it, that little disquisition, it's doing terrific. Thanks to you, despite the fact that we had trolls and all this kind of jazz. I wanted to just touch base with you to see if you agreed with me and to see if you could perhaps agree that what I'm saying is absolutely correct, and that is specifically this. The radical left is not only falling apart, and I'm not saying that just because they want it to fall apart. I'm saying the radical left is falling apart because there's nothing it is saying. That there is nothing it is saying. You got Kabbalah dancing. You've got stuff about Hexeth. Nobody gives a shit about Hexeth. Waltz was kicked out from the Signal. Nobody cares about that. And let me also tell you something which is important. And this is probably the most. I was watching today absolutely most carefully and most assiduously as, oh, there we goes, MP, there's Susan. Susan from upstate New York. Come on, Susan. Have some crumb cake. Come on, have a seat. I was watching the great Judge Napolitano and Colonel McGregor talk about how what Trump is doing is absolutely disastrous in terms of his plans and motivation. I don't think it matters. I don't think it matters to anybody. The Wisconsin MP is joining us right now. He goes by the name MP. That's it. That's it. CC's here. Everybody. I love that, CC. Fellow Americans. Here's the question. Do you think any of this matters? Do you think that the Ukrainian mineral deal matters to anybody? Seriously. I'm asking you a question. Do you think it matters at all? Stephanie just called in to say hello. Just want to say hi. That's all it is. Look. See how this is? Now let this be a lesson to you. See the love? There's Stephanie. Do you think anybody really cares about this? Do you think people are saying, I can't believe how Trump is basically acting as a co-combatant, a belligerent against Russia, all for some stupid, whatever it is, mineral deal? Do you think it matters? No! Cece says, no, we need to take care of more personal stuff in America. Brad Rung says, love this new platform. Keep up the tours. This morning was just beauteous. And I have to do some stuff, but you know what I like? I like this. It's so much easier just to set up the phone. I hope it's coming in loud and clear. I had to work on my 5G. I'm also debating, should I get those wireless, fuzzy little roadie things? Who cares? I like to keep it simple. Thank you, Brad. You're a mensch. You're a mensch. I appreciate that. But here's what I'm saying. Yeah, theoretically, I think sometimes Trump's foreign policy seems incoherent. Yeah. But if Americans don't care about it, if Americans don't recognize it, if Americans don't see it, what difference does it make? Do you see what I'm saying? Does this make any sense to you? Hello. Am I making any sense? Am I making any sense to you? I hope I'm making sense. Because the bottom line is simply this. I think it makes sense. Let's get some big stories here. Look at this. MP has taken charge. Trump, he's been there and done that and will use the Supreme Court to settle many challenges. Okay. How Pakistan Army helps American troops in Somalia? Dear sir, can you tell us about something about this operation? You got me right there. Yep, you making sense. Here's what I'm trying to say. And I say this to you personally. And I say this to you without anybody necessarily... how do we see it? Let me see this. Look at New York Post. Make it safe. Trump reveals Mike Waltz's next gig as he taps temporary national security head. See, Trump really doesn't give a damn. I mean, he wants loyalty above everything. Do you really think these people are that bad? No. Trump announced a major shakeup in his national security team Thursday. tapping Mike Waltz to be his United States ambassador, while Secretary of State Marco Rubio will fill Waltz's former national security. What does it matter? I don't know. Does it matter? Theoretically, it matters. Theoretically, it matters. This is ridiculous. Theoretically, it matters, but I think to the rest of the people, rest of the world, they may look at this and say, you know what? This is honest to God. This may be one of the scariest people around. You know what I'm saying? Bill Pierce, everybody. New angle. It's a new angle indeed. I don't think people care about it. I don't think people care about it. And as far as Israel and the Middle East, nobody cares about it. Nobody. I was watching, who was it? Tucker with Megyn Kelly. And Tucker was saying, well, you know, Ben Shapiro and my belief with Iran. Americans don't care about that. I know we care about this. I know we say, there's no reason why we should be involved in Iran. Why is Pete Hegseth? You know the story, right? Why is Pete Hegseth actually going on social media and basically saying to Iran, we're going to blow you up, we're going to destroy you? Why is he doing that? Why? Nobody cares. Americans say, hey, that's great. They don't know why they hate Iran. Do you? Is there any reason for us to hate Iran? No. You know why we're hating Iran. I mean, and if anybody doesn't, I don't know what to tell you. But the bottom line is simply this. While you and I can talk about this, America doesn't care. 100 men versus one gorilla. Who wins? Are the men armed? Are the men armed? You know, I want to stop for a second. Why do you think gorillas are so great? Why do you think they're great? Why does everybody put so much time? No, I'm serious. This is speciesism. Why do you think? What is the scare? I'm changing the subject. What is the scariest, the most incredible animal, the most dangerous animal on the planet today? The number one. We've got bears and tigers and gorillas and what else is it? Tiger, bear, gorilla. Let's go with the big ones, the big fours. Tiger, bear, gorilla, lion, whatever. What do you think the worst one is? I didn't say human. Bill Pierce, damn it, pay attention. Quit bringing the heat, my friend. Who do you think is the most important? By the way, Billy, are you catching WABC? I'm going to be on tomorrow, 6 to 10 a.m. Doing another special kind of a... I'm doing a lot of... I think they like what I'm doing. Billy's been with us since the old days. Billy can tell you when I was on Lock and Load, my friend. Billy can tell you when I was on and we were there in front of the garden and you showed up with a chipmunk outfit on and we went to a local place. We went to a bar called the Blarney Rock. Not the Blarney Stone, the Blarney Rock. Right there by the garden. And you had on a full chipmunk outfit. And I remember Bruce had to get out and we had to drive on the sidewalk. It's a long story. Those are good times. Good times. Not steam table lunch indeed. Now we're not talking about humans. Extract humans from the equation. Gorillas, lions, tigers, bears. I don't know what else is there. Who's the worst? Come on. Who? Who was it? Who was it? Anybody? Anybody? MP, welcome. Thank you so much. Welcome to Logo Daedalus. Thank you so much. Who? A bear. Nope. Are you really... all you really need is a trunk... Okay. Monkey, chicken, rhino. Oh, I was going to say, rhinos. Yeah, rhino, hippopotamus. They all have their thing. Crocodiles. Okay, let's talk land. That's very good. What are the criteria that you use? I think this is fascinating. If you wanted to, forget what I said before. Why do you think, what are the criteria you're going to use? Polar bears are very good. Very limited in terms of terrain and locale. You're not going to find those in the Serengeti, but you're right about that. They are absolutely great. But what is it that you use? Quit writing humans. We are eliminating humans. Snakes are not the most dangerous, no, because you've got to go to the snake. Look at the criteria. Look at the criteria. Is it going to be a 7 p.m. show tonight? No, not tonight. We have something to do, which I will fill in. But thank you nonetheless. We're going to do this instead. You are fascinating. Thank you. What are the criteria that you use? Nobody's answered the question. I'll wait. What are the criteria for make something? You're just throwing out names. Silverback, Rosie O'Donnell. Yeah, I got that. That was funny. What criteria? Sasquatch? Pilgrim says that aspect ration is not flattering, sir. That aspect ration? What is an aspect ration? What does that mean? What is an aspect ration? I don't know what that means. Okay, but thank you for that. Thanks for the encouragement. Thank you, Pilgrim. Thank you, buddy. Appreciate that. Thank you. Thank you for the way to go. Yes. Be a good team, a good coach for the kids. Yes. Elephant, no. Cunning and premeditation, wrong. Cunning. What's this cunning? Danger to humans. A lot of things are dangerous. You're missing the point. Okay, let's distinguish. Land, sea, air. Yes, land. You're right. Air, birds. What is it? First, the thing that I would, you talk about cunning. People say, well, gorillas are so smart. Do gorillas ever go after people? What are gorillas? They are, for the most part, vegetarians. Gorillas are vegetarians. They don't eat meat. Oh, there's bonobos here and there, but that's not their thing. They're not predators. They don't go out in packs. The only way you're going to get into a gorilla is if you basically fuck around with it. That's what's really going to be the problem. You understand what I'm saying? That's the thing which is the most critical. So the question I have now is, well, what are you looking for? I want something that travels in packs. I want something that hunts. I want something that is nocturnal. Sorry, peace, brother. That's all right, Pilgrim. You should work at the cosmetics counter at Birdine's. That's a long time ago. What do you think about this? I want something that is predatory, that acts in packs, that goes out and looking for trouble, looking for people. I want something that's nocturnal. Tiger. Probably more so tiger. You get into jaguars, tiger. They can travel in packs. They know what to do. They're nocturnal. Jaw pressure and all that stuff. Hyenas are extremely good hunters. Have you ever seen those dogs? They supposedly can take down a wolf. Have you heard that? Or a woof, as people say it. You ever seen the dogs or these dogs? And you put these collars around them that have these spikes. Have you seen those? Okay. They're not good with a wolf. Wolf, hyenas, packs, the worst. Because they'll surround you. And one will draw off either the main one or the lead. They go after, obviously, the most susceptible. And they don't want to go after something unless there's a particular need for it. They're not just killers for the sake of killing. It's for consumption. So that's always put your money on hyenas. Any kind of pack, hyenas, wolves, and to a certain extent tigers, but something also nocturnal. And something that only they really don't have, they're not aggressive for the sake of being aggressive. Snakes are too. They run from you. They hide. They don't come after you. Snakes are, We always think about stuff that scares us. But the real animals will be something that goes out and territorial to an extent, but is a hunter. And something that eats meat. Because remember, with most of these things. A shark will make an exception, but there have been very, very, very few shark attacks. And sharks attack for different reasons. Isn't it great how we got into this? I had no intention of doing this, but I kind of like this. Sharks will sometimes go after a human because they are confused. They think that something or somebody or whatever it is, they think that this person is somehow what's the word? That this person is a porpoise or some type of a critter, and they make a mistake. That's what's critical to note. That's what's important. Sometimes when you're out and you're swimming about, they'll think you're a porpoise. Sometimes they would have people who would be wearing those scuba outfits, and the shark would look from above and say, "Oh, look!" Or you're on a paddle board, or they think you're in distress. They don't go after people just to go after them. Sharks took a terrible hit, especially after Jaws. It was terrible. It was horrible. No, tigers are a different story. When it's time for them to, they're always in the prowl, but they're not necessarily territorial per se. Their teeth, the ability to grasp, the ability to work in concert, absolutely terrific. Pilgrims have king cobras, boon slangers, gaboon vipers. They chase. They chase if you do something which engages them. Engages them. One of my favorite stories is, as you know, being in Florida, there is a nasty snake called the water moccasin. And the water moccasin is a pit viper. And the problem with the water moccasin is that it will we'll put it this way. Most snakes, as you know, will not eat anything that is dead. Carrion, roadkill, they won't do it because they figure there's something wrong with that particular animal species. They don't want to eat it because they're afraid of getting whatever it is that ostensibly killed this thing. Makes sense, doesn't it? Makes sense to me. So they don't want to do that. The only exception to that, for the most part, is the water moccasin. They'll eat anything. Now, normally when you're bitten by a poisonous snake, you have neurotoxins, myotoxins, hemotoxins, you have blood, muscle, flesh, nerves. Those things which debilitate, strip, destroy, will cause a necrotizing of, these things. Okay. So the question is, and this is important, the question then becomes, well, what happens? What happens to you? Not good. Now, the only problem with a water moccasin is that you can also look at tetanus because of their mouths are filthy. They also don't look like much. And as you are in, especially as pilgrim will know, when you're in the springs, the Homosassa, Homosassa, I forget, whatever. There was a spring I went to right around Daytona years ago. They will hang in trees. And when you travel underneath them in your boat or your canoe, they'll drop into your boat. And they're feisty. It's not that they're engaging per se, but they don't have fear. They're not as interested. Rattlers always will warn you, get away. Leave me alone. I'm over here. Coral snakes are fantastic. Coral snakes, I love it because this is great. Have you heard the coral snake rhyme? See, the coral snake and the king snake work together. Rainbow head springs with Lakuchi. There you go. There is the eastern coral snake. I think it's the king, it looks like. But there's to distinguish the eastern coral snake from a non-venomous. Now, one time years ago when we were kids, we went to the Hillsborough State Park. And there was a park ranger. And he told us this particular poem. And it said, or poem, as people say. Red on yellow can kill a fellow because it's red, yellow, and black. These are the bands. Red on yellow can kill a fellow. Red on black is venom lack. Now, who is going to remember this? Red and yellow. Okay, that's okay. Red and yellow together. You got a problem. That's a coral snake. And the coral snake does not have hypodermic. It's non-fangs. It chews. It's hang on, you're gonna love this one. The coral snake realized. Yes, yes. Coral snakes, they chew. They don't really have necessarily the fangs. I've always heard, rattlesnakes and others, they attack. This one will get you. And supposedly, don't know if this is true or not, but people always said that they always swore that they knew somebody who worked at an emergency room who had to cut the head off and it was still chewing to release the venom. I don't know if that's true or not. Chews like a puppy. There you go. Yes, not mammalian. Australian tiger snake. Spits like Stormy Daniels. Very funny. Very, very funny. The African trouser snake. Dick Muirhead, ladies and gentlemen. Now you can insert your Michelle Obama thing here. Did you hear where Alex Jones is still talking about Michelle Obama? Let me ask you a question. Listen to me and answer accordingly. Okay? Answer truthfully. Do you really, truly, and honestly believe, listen to me, that Michelle Obama is a man? Now, I know that Candace Owens, for some reason, has stayed away from that. She loves that Macron, Brigitte, whatever her name is. She loves that one. But she has yet to do this. Do you really believe? And I mean not that just fun to say, but you really, honestly, truly believe. And is there evidence for you to believe that she is a man? Now, why is this? I don't believe it because I have no proof and I've never given it much thought. So when I say I don't believe it, I'm not saying one thing or other. You're asking me, or I'm asking, do I believe something? The answer is no. Why? Why do you think? No evidence needed for belief. Oh, Dick is right about that. You know, that's right, because if there was evidence of certain things, you wouldn't need faith. Why do you believe? I know, Mrs. Berry, I care not. Yeah. It's only been the topic of mythology and jokes and the like forever, okay? Why do you think this is? His voter registration card could not be changed? What does that mean? The question is hateful. Well, let me tell you something, Jeffrey. Alex Jones and others, they've been talking about her forever. And now that she's doing the podcast with her brother, there's all these memes going about. I'm asking you a serious question. No, I don't see any, I mean, it could be, but I've never felt the vibe, and I don't know. I thought that the motivation behind it was out of hatred, not out of any reason. Now, Macron's wife, from what people have said, they've been saying this for a long time. Oh, yeah, she's whatever it is. But why do you think? Now, Joan Rivers, you always talk about Joan Rivers. And people swear that Joan Rivers was somehow dispatched because she dared to perhaps joke about this. Ad probationem constitutum stabili. Thank you. Why? What was the motivation behind this? Does anybody truly act? By the way, Macron's wife looks like E.T. in a wig. Absolutely. You know what? I know that's being cruel, but if you were giving an artist rendition, let's say she robbed you at a Walmart, and the police came in, they said, well, tell me what she looked like. You say, well, you'd be very good. I'm sorry, but it's true. But the question is simply this, and I want you to understand this. Why is there, Nobody can answer the question regarding Michelle Obama. There's this one picture, who was it? Alex Jones was showing, of her walking, and they supposedly were indicating that certain appendages were shifting about. I didn't see that. I thought it was closed and like, I am your leader. Thank you. Dude, this is not going to bring us together. Do better. This is hate talk. Get off here if you can't love your fellow man. Do you hear what I'm saying? Dude. This has been a theme. This has been a part of our mythology, or not, since the beginning. Dude. And you may not understand it, or you may think it's hate. I'm saying I don't see any evidence of it. Why do you think this is hateful? Why do you think this is hateful? When people ask whether Barack Obama was born in this country, is that hateful too? Dude, do you think that was hateful? When people ask questions about Donald Trump, oh, Nazi connections and name it, anything about him, anything, do you think that was hateful? Dude, do you think so? No. This is something which is this is critical stuff. And if you don't ask that question, you haven't been paying attention. Pilgrim says, some people's kids, seriously, bruh. I don't know what that means. I don't know what that means, but thank you. No, I really like this because I think that one particular person, look at your own face. I don't know what that means. Again, this is really lame. Maybe there's not a lot of room to type, which could always be. Maybe you're driving or doing something. Maybe critical thinking is not your forte or forte. Maybe that's it. But I want to ask the question. Why is this so difficult for people to speak clearly? Because these are basically verbal farts. This is flatus. These aren't, there's nothing behind these thoughts. And I appreciate this. But you have to put something in a word. You can't just yell out. This is like a drunken fart. Yeah, well, yeah, if yours, hey, say it. Say it. It's got it. Say it. Joan Rivers. This is inane. This is absolutely inane. I just got here and I like this guy already. Thank you, Born Joker. Healing says you are attracting the way a woman, you are I don't know what that means. I'm calling you out coward. I don't know what this means. Again, this is just, listen, let me explain something to you. If you want to get in the world, maybe somebody thinks, trolling, I guess you might want to call it that, is just saying something, being the contrarian, dropping an F-bomb here, saying something mean. That's not it. There's no class to it. There's no panache. There's no style. And I really want to actually, that's why sometimes I want to talk more and respond to people. But some of the stuff that I'm seeing is just inane. And there's nothing it's just somebody who basically just wants to be heard. Which is okay. I understand that. And listen, I think sometimes there's a certain art form to that. Great trolling, years ago, years ago, there was a story that might be a bit, I don't know if it's mythology, but I will tell you nonetheless. It works something like this. It was, I believe it was CBS Evening News. And the story was that on CBS Evening News, there was they had people, I think it was Walter Cronkite or something, but there were people in the back working, typing, doing whatever it was that they were doing. Okay. So somebody called up CBS or New York or whatever it was and said, listen, you got a problem with somebody back there. And it was a person or a woman directly behind. No, excuse me, strike that. Somebody got a hold of a desk of a woman or man or whatever behind Walter Cronkite. This is the story, so bear with it. So you're seeing it, and in the back, there's this woman typing or doing whatever it is to give you the idea of a news set. So she picks up the phone, she answers it. And somebody claims to be Jerry from Master Control in Cincinnati, Ohio. And he says, listen, we got a white balance problem and you got to help me. Can you hold up a piece of paper and move it this way so I can balance the white or whatever? I don't know what it's called. So, okay, so she holds up a piece of paper and she's going like this. Behind Walter Cronkite. She's in the back. Now, this is the story. People swear they've seen it. I didn't see it. I don't think I saw it. But people swear it happened. And she's holding the thing up. And that's trolling. That's a good one. That took some time, took some effort, took some creativity. It wasn't just yelling at somebody, calling, hey, you know, your mother wears combat boots. Ha ha. No, it doesn't work like that. So let's do this. Epstein files not coming. I have been telling you, dude, if you've been listening to me, there are no files. Repeat after me. Repeat after me. There was no file. There were no files, I should say. Or there were no files. There will be no files. I don't know what people are waiting for. Files, flight logs, black books, dude. There's no such thing as that. It doesn't exist. You understand? It doesn't exist. There's nothing there that anybody wants. The question that you want, the question that I want, the question I think is the most important, is what about the tapes and the videos and the evidence of everything that went on? That's the question. That's the question that we want. You see what I'm saying? That's the issue, my friend. Not this other nonsense. The issue is that. Do you dig what I'm saying? Where are the recordings? What's your opinion of Terrence Howard? You know, I think Terrence Howard is pulling one of the greatest cons, or as Bill would say, works ever. I think it is one of the greatest things ever. All you have to do is just get into the I guess the HOV lane, and to get people talking about you. Oh, you're crazy, you're this, you're that. And then Joe Rogan has them on, and, you know. The one that I can't figure out is this Douglas Murphy, Dave Smith, and the historian. I can't understand. Tucker Carlson and Megyn Kelly talking about this question about history. And Ben Shapiro. We're at really critical mass. Or we've hit it because we're talking about Terrence Howard. This is a work. Bill Pierce will tell you. This is professional wrestling. This is a work. This is kayfabe. This is taking somebody, and all of a sudden he goes on and he says, how'd I do? This is terrific. I was on Joe Rogan, and I'm talking shit, and people think I'm crazy, and it's great. And I'm going to be at all these shows. My question is, Shannon Sharp, where's Cat Williams? Where's Monique now? Those are the ones who I have a lot of respect for those people. A lot of them. You understand this? That's the point. Did you see Lincoln's wife? Yikes. Do you know the story behind Mary Todd Lincoln? Remember that one? There was a theory, an hypothesis years ago that came about that said that Lincoln was so upset. He was focused. He was fixated on the fact that he was how do I say this? He was, well, that he had syphilis. Now this is the story. Now remember, syphilis in the old days, if you had it, it was serious business. It was untreatable. It was, now antibiotic take care of it. But people like Willie Moretti and Al Capone and a lot of people had tertiary syphilis, and it made you crazy. It made you nuts. Anyway, the rumor has it that he or that she contracted this from. She contracted syphilis from Lincoln, went crazy, and that was the source of his depression. Not only that, did you hear these stories that Lincoln was theoretically gay, slept with, he had a male friend. People said, well, that was common in those days. Really? Remember when Randolph Scott and Cary Grant lived together? So it's one of those stories. What about his boyfriend in the White House? I believe you might be thinking of, was it Buchanan? I think Buchanan had. I think he was the first gay president. Al Capone died from syphilis in prison. Well, he was released in 1947. Yeah, that's what I said. Al Capone. Right. It was untreated. Willie Moretti. Remember him? Remember who Willie Moretti was? This was the gangster who supposedly went to Sinatra and told Sinatra, you know, you can't divorce your wife, and he did. But before that, he had the problem with Tommy Dorsey, and Willie Moretti went supposedly and talked him out of that. You know, did this thing. Okay. Interestingly enough, whether it's true or not, is another story. Barack chose a man that looks like a woman, sort of. Now, how do you know that, John? I appreciate that. How do you wait when you say this? And please, I'm being very, very serious. Are you saying that to be funny? Which is okay. Or do you say it just because that's kind of like, well, that's what we say now and then? Or does anybody, I'm really asking you, do you really believe this? Where is your information? Where, when you believe something, how is it that you know this? I want to know, how is it that you, what am I trying to word? How is it that you don't? Where do you get this from? I'm dead serious. It all recreational thinking. Well, recreational thinking is one thing, but you're saying something as a matter of fact. I know it's not, critical, but I'm really curious. What does that mean to you? I don't say something that if I kind of wonder whether it's true, if I kind of joke about whether it's true, I'll tell you. But I don't say I believe something just because. People have said this, for example. People have said that they have believed that let me ask you. Believed that vaccines cause autism. Now, there may be some indicators, there may be some information, there may be some thinking behind this, especially regarding thimerosal and all these, these mercury and. But when people say, I think it causes that, why? And I ask them, I said, is it because of the studies you've read? No. Is it because of whatever? No. No. Is it because of Jenny McCarthy or no? Remember when Jenny McCarthy and Jim Carrey were out about? I asked him, I said, where did you get this from? Why do you believe this to be true? Why? Why do you believe this to be true? And they can't answer the question. They can't answer the question. Why do you think that is? It's the most incredible thing in the world. Why do you think that is? Why do people believe in things like that? And there's no way for them to say it. Now let me ask you something. Do you believe that the two were connected? Bobby Kennedy was supposedly going to have some kind of hearing on it. Do you know something we don't know? How do you know this? I learned to believe my eyes. What do your eyes tell you? It's delusional like thinking. A billionaire has empathy for the poor. Okay. I don't know what to tell you what that means. Look at Ellen's show, Trust Your Eyes. What does that mean? Do poor people have empathy for billionaires? Interesting. Know something, believe nothing. What do you believe, Muirhead? What do you believe? I'm serious. Please understand my sincerity when I ask you this. I understand this all day. I think, we got to let the trolling out and then you kind of get tired of it. And then we kind of maybe get down to, because I think this is fascinating. Why do you think? I felt bad for Elon Musk. I think he was trying to help. Why do you feel bad for Elon Musk? Why? Do you think Elon Musk was shown the door? Do you think that Elon Musk wanted to help, but they said, we don't want you anymore? I don't understand this. What are you getting at? Trolling is more fun than typing earnest things to a random dude online. Well, that's true. I guess that is true. But I think we got to work on this. Dude can't even pivot on the talking points. If you want to see a prime example of someone... Okay, sorry, that went by. Okay, I tried. I want you to understand. I'm really trying, my friends. I wanted so hard to figure out a way. Maybe we could have a real serious conversation with really smart people. People that were illuminated with the truth. People educated. People adept and adroit at critical thinking. That's what I thought. Was I wrong? Oh, yeah. At least with radio, you get screeners. You get somebody to say, well, this person can't speak English. But that's okay. I understand it. I understand it. And it's not even trolling. It's just not very good. I think we should all agree sometimes to find out. I'm not going to give you the secrets behind it. But I have inadvertently trolled, because I very rarely weigh in. You know, a lot of folks, let me just tell you something. A lot of people, a lot of good people that I like, they never even respond to people's calls, or never. Or not calls, but the comments. They never do it at all. Never. They don't even, it's like you're not even there. I try my best. But I waste my time. Lionel, see why we have to gather all the nuts up? It won't be right letting the squirrels gathering and digging holes for them. I know what that means. Calling people out on bullshit gets confused with trolling too. Well, that's true, but that's not what I'm talking about here. No. Calling people out on bullshit. What is the biggest example of people actually promoting complete and total bullshit? What do you think? What's the first thing? I'll tell you right off the bat. When Bergoglio, the Pope, died, nobody knew what they were talking about. They knew nothing about the church. They knew nothing about the history of the church. They knew nothing about the papacy. They didn't know anything. A lot of them didn't like, they had this idea about Catholics or something. They had no idea. It was brutal. It was brutal. YouTube avatars. Okay. But what is it? I've never seen a response on X from you. A response? I don't know what that means. You mean responding to other people? I really don't. I mean, I really have this belief that you should be able to say what you want, and nothing that you say really propels me into wanting to get to the bottom of it. Nothing. So, Fine People hoax was created with recreational belief. Don't know what that means. Don't know what that means. I think it meant something. I think you intended something very thorough with that. Portrait or landscape? Vote now. You know, I tried to do the landscape before, seriously, but my phone was acting goofy. This is easier for me to read and that sort of thing. You can handle it. You can handle this. Many people, believe it or not, are also just, for whatever it's worth, just listening later. I think, and I have noticed, that the response from this is different than a regular stand before a, screen and sort of. I kind of like this. It's something different. An insult is like a drink. It only hurts one if it is accepted. Robert Heinlein. Well, yeah. It means they want to believe whether it's true or not. Well, I think one of the things that, the greatest example, the landscape is much better for the audience. There is more non-screen than there is screen, but it's difficult to read your responses. Does that make any difference to you? It's more difficult on landscape for me to read what you're saying. Maybe there's a way of combining both. You do know that, right? I kind of like to see what you have to say, if you don't mind. But I don't think anybody really understands what they're talking about. And the number one thing is religion. Religion is the best. Oh my God. And I learned a long time ago, I don't get involved in people with what they believe. I really don't. I don't get involved. But I ask people, why do you believe what you believe? And they say, I don't know. You know why you're a Christian? Because you were born in this country. If you were born in Damascus, probably you'd be a Muslim. Just saying. So geography has something which has to do with faith. Geography, first and foremost. Why do you think Greek Orthodox people, most of them are in Greece? or Russian Orthodox, or Eastern rites. Laurie Cuck says, do you got anything about Tony Blair? Is there news? I'm sorry, I did not know this. Tony Blair, is there anything new about him that I should peruse? How do you see? The big thing they were trying to do was Pete Hegseth. You think Pete Hegseth knows what he's doing? No. Do you think Pete Hegseth knows how to run an organization that big? No. You think he's that bad? Not at all. Do you have to know? No. Look at Millie. Look at these losers before. They're saying Pete Hegseth has no idea what he's doing. Pete Hegseth. They hate Pete Hegseth so much. And what President Trump does, which I like, is he says, I like Pete Hegseth. He's staying here. I don't care about the signal business. And when it comes to Waltz, I'm going to move him from here over here. I'm not the only person. There's George Grantis. He's a Greek Orthodox. Thank you, sir. Dikanis. I think you say that. The only person who really, if you think about it, was Matt Gaetz. How bad was Matt Gaetz? Wow. Wow. Did you see the Houthi tweet? Yes. Absolutely insane. Just wondering what you think. Is there news about, is there anything new about Tony Blair? Let me check. Thank you for that. Maybe I should be checking this out. I'm going to be checking this out if you don't mind. Somebody will take offense at this. Tony Blair. Is there anything, Tony Blair? Any news? Any news about Tony? Labor defends a net zero one day ago. Climate experts and politicians round on Tony Blair for wrong message. Blair's attack on net zero policies, a valid and important contribution. I don't know. Is there anybody here who believes in the notion of climate change or global warming? Anybody? Anybody? How about if you use the word dude? I bet you those dudes. Do you understand this? What do you think about this? Anybody here who cares about this? Does anybody, as we speak, believe that climate change is significantly and substantially changed by anthropogenic causation models? Anybody? Total BS? No. Come on. It's called weather. That's right. Anybody else? Financial disparity is really OA is laughing out loud. I meant climate hoax. Does anybody here, you don't understand, don't you understand that Greta Thunberg said that we were going to be underwater, that the world, how dare you, that we would be completely just capsized, we would be flooded. It would be a diluvian period. Okay? Anybody able to tell me the percentage of CO2 in the air? By the way, not only that, the majority of greenhouse gases, the percentage of CO2 is de minimis. But the majority of greenhouse gases is oxygen. Did you know that? Laurie says, it's not a priority to me. Thank you, Laurie. Thank you for having the guts to say what isn't a priority. Because I'm with you on that one, girlie. I'm with you. Have you ever heard about the Holocene maxima? The hypsithermals? Anybody? Speaking of hypsithermals. Anybody? Do you think that if the temperature is going to rise 1 centigrade 7 months from now, or 8 months, you know what? Let me ask you something. How dare you, George? What do you believe was the motivation behind the hoax, as you called it, of climate change and global warming? What do you think it is? What do you think? 0.04%. What do you think it is? What is the reason for them propounding this? What do you think it is? Anybody? Anybody? Money, but money how? Okay, control how? Explain this. What do you think it is? What is the way to tax the air? Close enough. Jeff is close to it. See, I couldn't read this with landscape. I'm sorry. The water on this planet is the same water from the start. Pretty much. tax, very good. Tax, control, carbon economies, carbon currencies, carbon tracking, carbon taxing, track and tax, cap and trade, using as Al Gore and who was the other one? What was his name? He was the head of the. It was Secretary Maurice Strong. They promised Al Gore, you would be the first carbon billionaire. Remember when he gave up the fight when they told him, Al, you won the election. Wow, whatever it was. Not social credit score, that's coming up, but carbon taxing. Imagine if I could create a commodity system, carbon trades, carbon exchanges, and I can control. What if I said, Scott, you have 50 units of carbon a year, but you've got 60 that you've used. Now Ruth Bellinger over here has 40. Ruth can sell you her 10 to make up for, to maybe counterbalance that. It'll bring you down, it'll bring her up. You can exchange, you can buy her unused carbon. And now we have another commodities market. Mercantile trade, futures, Dow, NASDAQ, and then carbon. It's beautiful. And the way you do it is not only do you teach people from the beginning, and children and the like, but you indoctrinate them over a period of time in which they see the pictures of polar bears huddling over an ice cube that was an iceberg. You teach kids and you indoctrinate them and you scare them and you'll make them do whatever. You have smart meters and green meters and you'll do anything. You will change the way you think. The same way you did when it came to COVID. The way you gave up everything. You gave up your rights. You gave up your sense of dignity, your sense of autonomy. You gave up. You just said, okay, whatever it is, I'm not going to argue. That's exactly what it's about. They start with the companies at school all the time. And this nonsense, we have got to put this to bed. Now, I believe in the environment. I'm sure you do too. That's what we should be thinking about. Anyway, dear friends, what a great time. 52 minutes of fun and frolic. I so much enjoyed being with you. I really did. We went from what animals are the most vicious to carbon trading to, it was a veritable potpourri, a mélange, a pastiche, a myriad, a mosaic. This concatenation, dare we say, of issue after issue, merging in this undulating form. Beautiful. Thanks to you. Thank you for watching. Make sure you subscribe to LionelNation. Make sure you do that. Make sure you're a part of this. Laurie Cook says, March 28th, 2020, asteroid hit the Earth. Do you remember? I sure do. It was in all the papers. Laurie, thank you so much. And thank you again. We'll see you tomorrow. Have a great and a glorious time. Tomorrow I'll be off in the morning. I'm going to be doing 6 to 10 on WABC, so we'll figure something out. So just make sure you subscribe to Lionel Nation. That way you never miss it. All right, dear friends, have a great day. Don't ever change. I mean it sincerely. And until we meet again, remember, monkey's dead. The show's over. Sue ya. Da-da.